Hello, everybody, and welcome today to a really interesting session and a very interesting guest that we're hosting. So, right before I introduce our guest, I'm just going to tell you really quickly what today is going to be about. So, the idea today is just to cover like the general outbound motion and not strictly focus on LinkedIn. So, we'll be talking with our guest, Eric, about outbound tools that he's using, how he's combining everything together, how does AI fit into that equation. So yeah, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Eric. Eric, welcome.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited for today.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be great. I know you and I have been chatting for a while, and I think a lot of knowledge is going to be shared here today.
Okay, yeah, very nice.
So, yeah, I see we already have a bunch of people joining. By the way, today is going to be a pretty full house, so you should prepare for quite a bit of questions. We have over 420 people registered for the live.
Very nice.
Considering we do this every week, it's a decent amount of people. So, yeah, man, that Red Bull is definitely a good idea.
Oh yeah.
So, guys, yeah, basically, I met Eric in person at a sculpt event by Clay, like almost a year ago now. Oddly enough, I have my sculpt notepad here, and yeah, man, and that's when the conversation kicked off when we started talking about all of these different things, different approaches. Eric has historically been very much email first, like for email outbound. I am kind of like over the last period of time, I've gotten him to start exploring LinkedIn outreach and how LinkedIn can fit into that equation. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting discussion. We have a lot of people already here, and yeah, man, as far as I'm concerned, we can kick it off.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
All right. So now, before we do, a question for the audience: are you guys doing purely LinkedIn outreach, or are you doing email as well? If you're doing both, drop a comment, LinkedIn plus email, or just LinkedIn or just email, because that's going to give us context. And then feel free to run through to ask questions that we have. So the agenda for today, my idea was kind of to go over with Eric, kind of like the full outbound motion, right? So it starts at lead sourcing, then how you make sure that those leads that you're sourcing are good and that they're going to reply. So like the email verification part and the lead verification part, and then talk a little bit about the outbound tools, your emailing sequencer, how LinkedIn plays a role, and then basically also kind of put it all together with AI and see how in the age of Claude and ChatGPT and all of these MCP servers, API like enablement features, how that all fits in together. So yeah, with that said, dude, how do you find leads for your clients?
So the main way that we're finding leads for our customers today, I would say we're very Prospeo first right now. And so the reason why we use Prospeo so much is they actually came to me a little while ago and they said, hey, if you could have any search filters that you want that would apply to a bunch of customers, what would be the search filters that you would want into the platform? And I gave them this whole gigantic list of everything that I wanted. And then they literally just came back 3 weeks later and they said, well, actually, I guess it was more like 2 months later, but it took a while for them to build. And everything was done, including some things that I know how most of this stuff is created, but there's some stuff that they put into the platform that I have no clue how they put it in there. For example, you can even filter for leads based on what Google keywords they would show up for. So if you were to put in like cold email lead generation in the Google search filter that they have, our company would show up, Cold IQ would show up, all these, and it's just like so crazy that they figured that out. And so we will use Prospeo first, mainly because of the filtering that it gives us access to. The second platform that we use by far would be the Blitz API, just because for $500, he's giving you 10 million credits to just do anything you want per month. And so then we might then flip it on its head and say, okay, these filters are not directly tying to exactly what we need for this list. let's just pull everybody. And I could talk about this process a little bit, but let's just pull every company that we can reasonably be reaching out for, and then use AI to trim that down with some like open source models that we run locally. Or if you need to pay for, some smarter things because it's a harder ICP, then we can do that as well too. But basically between Prospeo, Blitz API, and now Clay adding audiences has also been very helpful as well too. So between Prospeo, Blitz API, and Clay's new audiences, those are the main tools that we're doing our sourcing from.
Cool. I know they were announcing, Clay was announcing the audiences like on the last Sculpt event, where we met. Do you see it being adopted as like a mainstream thing people are using, or do you still think that should you use Clay for that as well, or do you think that smaller teams should just pick and choose one source that they rely on, or do you think they should be mixing a bunch of different tools and relying on audiences
so the thing is, and maybe Clay doesn't do a good job communicating this, and maybe it's because they can't do a good job of communicating it. So whatever you hear from me, let's just call it a rumor. But when people are saying we're mixing multiple providers together, normally you're mixing a LinkedIn company scraper with some other kind of scraper that can get you other data as well too. I know for a fact that Clay is mixing 3 to 5 different providers underneath everything and then deduping it against, and then you just get access to all of that. So what I would just say there is that I can see it becoming much more commonplace. Now, I'm not sure if it's on all of the new plans. So you might have to switch to an action plan to be able to get access to the audiences. But, well, actually, just for the audience, let's just run through it just really quick of where I think it all fits, right? Because I think that there's 4 types of list building, and there is a company level waterfall that you need to be able to do. And then you finding contacts is simpler at the end. So you have a problem of finding as many companies that fit your TAM as possible. And then you have the problem of finding as many contacts as you can find, right? So the first kind of list building that there is bulk list building, that it just doesn't really matter. So it doesn't matter. You can use one source, you're going to be fine, and you're going to get it taken care of. So for example, my private equity customers, that they literally could sell to anybody who's a CEO, the president, the founder, the owner of their business with 10 to 100 employees. Great. We could start with LinkedIn data just because it has high fidelity, enrichment there. Or if we were to literally just use a Google Maps scraper, scrape plumbing companies, and then do a Google search, which I'll explain when we get to the contact thing, of literally owner of plumbing company, and then you just email that, that's going to work tremendously well. So that's the easiest one. Nothing else needs to get done there. Now, problem 2 is when you don't have bulk ability to do this and the industries don't fit that well. So let's take, for example, fintech companies. Some fintech companies will put their industry on LinkedIn as technology companies. Some of them will be software development. Some of them will be financial services. Some of them will be banking. In those cases, we will take the do not contact list from our customers. So the list that we have already sold to these people. So obviously they're good customers because we've already sold to these people. And then we will enrich those backwards to say, okay, how do these companies show up in the databases? In the Blitz API, how do they show their industry on LinkedIn? And then in Prospeo, what are the keywords that Prospeo has tagged these companies with? What are the keywords that can apply to everything? What are the services that they applied them with? What's the AI description that they applied them with? And all these things. Now, we then pull every company, even if there's one company on the list that's a fintech company that they identified themselves for some reason as an insurance company on LinkedIn. We will then pull every insurance company on LinkedIn. As long as it fits the location and the employee headcount, we're just pulling everything. Then we create what we call an ICP prompt loop, where we say, okay, this company fits because this is a fintech company. This is what a fintech company looks like. Claude, Codex, review 10 companies with your sub-agents and tell me, do you think it's a fintech company or not? And then it'll say, I think this is a fintech company. I'll say it's not. Then I just use Whisperflow and I just say, yes, you're right about this one because of this. You're wrong about this one because of this. And if it's ever wrong, it goes through the loop again and goes through the loop again and goes through the loop again. Every single I've trained a skill on this. So every company that is successfully identified as a fintech company gets put into the prompt overall, so that it's like, okay, hey, this is a good fit. I'm adding it to the prompt as an example. So that when we are, so now we just pulled every insurance company with 50 to 5,000 employees. Like Geico is going to be in there, right? Yeah. So now we need to trudge through all of this trash to find all of these fintech companies, right? Then we just had the frontier model, the A student, create a phenomenal prompt that we can pass to the B student, which would be like GPT-5 Nano, Haiku, whatever you want to use, but then use the batch API to be able to do this so that you could get really, really fast, really high inference, but you had another model write the prompt for it. That way you can trudge through all of the insurance companies and it's not going to cost you a lot of money, and then find those fintech companies from there. Any questions about this before I keep going?
Oh, honestly, like I have like 20 questions in my head, but like, so I really like what I didn't realize that I really like the like lookalike aspect, like, you know, where you take a list of users that are already, you know, hey, these people have purchased the product that you're trying to sell, the offer that you're trying to push, and then you reverse look up and find lookalike audiences for that. That's a really good tip, and it's something I'm gonna think about for ourselves.
And keep in mind, if you go to a tool that has lookalike searches, so Prospio has lookalike searches, Clay has lookalike searches, Ocean, Disco, they all have these lookalike searches. Yeah. You're going to leave companies on the table because they're using an AI lookalike, right? So if you put in for the lookalike, you put in Aimfox. It's like, oh, did you put in Aimfox because it's a sales tool? Did you put in Aimfox because it's a LinkedIn automation tool? Did you put in Aimfox because of like, it's just a LinkedIn tool in general? Like, it doesn't have the perfect knowledge of like everything that you want to grab. So lookalikes, you can't just use AI lookalikes because it's not going to get you the breadth that you want. Yep. That's why breaking it down to like I said, even if there's one company that self-identifies in the insurance industry, we just pull them all because it's really not that expensive to just score. And if
then you run and you go through them and you figure it out.
Yeah, Gemma 4 is an open source model from Google. I personally, I don't know if this is controversial, but I refuse to use the Chinese models. So I know everybody's like, why haven't you checked out Kimi or Quen? And it's just, no. I'm only going to use Gemma, and then this new thing, Orange, came out that we're checking out right now. But anyway, so then if you really need to save on costs, then just use an open source model and have it do the prompt loop as well. But have the frontier models write the prompt that you're going to put through the open source models.
Yeah. But that's very good. So using the lookalike, so I remember I tried lookalike audiences like in like Instantly or something, you know, in their like leads, and like it wasn't any good, you know, and like I was like, you know what, like this is not going to make sense, and I just gave up on it. But this whole process that you explained behind I can see how that can make sense, because like I know how I'm using AI to identify good leads, to scrape through API to scrape their websites, to check them out, all of that stuff. Okay, yeah, very cool. And like one thing we didn't touch on is Sales Navigator. Like, have you? Because I know a lot of people in our audience are using Sales Navigator because Aimfox gives you like, we don't like being used as a scraper, but in essence, we do give you the functionality to basically scrape and extract Sales Navigator leads through Aimfox, right? And I know a lot of our users are using this. They're getting the leads out through Aimfox and then like enriching, finding their emails, and then doing a multi-channel sequence. So do you use Sales Navigator at all?
So the only time we really use Sales Navigator is when we need to be 100% sure that this person 1000% works at this company right now. Because any company that is a LinkedIn-based scraper is going to be, as long as they're worth their salt, they're going to be 2 weeks to 2 months behind the Sales Navigator data. And it's okay that, you know, like if you email somebody and then you get a response back saying this person no longer works here, then it's like, okay, that's just like part of the game. I'm not really that concerned about it. But if there's playbooks that we're running and we need to know that they absolutely work at this company because there's some criteria, so we don't use it that often, but we did find a Rapid API that gives you access to fake LinkedIn profiles that then you could scrape Sales Navigator for, that sometimes will do that as well too. But like mainly, so for like new hires, like knowing exactly when a new person joined the company, that is the most prime example of, hey, we need to be doing this targeting. Or building a list of people who are active on LinkedIn because they're posting on LinkedIn. That's another one that like you can only really build inside of Sales Navigator. So that's what we'll use Sales Navigator mainly for.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Very cool. Okay, cool. And then, okay, so you have the list, you build the list, you have their contact details. How do you verify who to outreach, who to skip? How do you filter through that list? Not like on the ICP level if they fit the ICP, but like on like a technical level, like, is their email ME good? And is that email going to bounce, or is it going to receive the lead? And then like I can give also my take on like the LinkedIn side of this, like, because I know I've seen some really good best practices how people filter out who's active on LinkedIn and who's not active on LinkedIn when they have big lists. But I'll let you go first absolutely. For the email verification. Yeah.
So when it comes to, and then just real quick, there's a couple other things that we do on the company side. I've made YouTube videos about it, so we don't have to make other time about it. On the contact side, there's basically two main ways that you're going to be able to just find the contacts. Either they have a LinkedIn profile or you would just Google for them. I literally just ran a search, like a test on Codex of like, hey, go head to head with these 7 different AI search providers, plus a regular Google search with AI on top of the Google search. Who finds the owner of the plumbing company most often? Literally just Googling and then scraping the Google search of owner of plumbing company works the best. So anyway, there's that. The other thing that okay, so now for contact finding, there is essentially 2 kinds of email finding that you need to be prepared for. And it all has to do with these catch-all domains. So a catch-all domain is just a domain that it's not really easy or possible to verify that a person works at a company. Other than that, every person who's ever complained about receiving too many emails, I think is just hilarious, because if they were to literally just add in like a number or their middle name to the email address, they would never receive any of these emails, because everybody in the world basically has a pattern-based email. Eric@growthenginex.com is my email address. But then like everyone has a variation of Eric at, Eric Nowoslawski at, Eric.Nowoslawski, Eric. And all of these things you can guess. And so the first level of verification that you are using is literally just like, and you're going to get most people's email addresses from this, of just, hey, can I validate with SMTP-based verification? So something like Million Verifier. Can I validate that this person's email address is legit? So companies like Quick and Rich, let me think. Well, everybody's got their own secret sauce. You could build your own email finding tool if you were to literally just ask Claude, here's my Million Verifier API key, which is very cheap. Mailtester.ninja is also really cheap if you wanted to make your own email finder as well too. And you were to say, run through these common permutations and just stop when you find the email, go. Like you'd be able to find 40% of the email addresses that are available on the market. You'd be able to just get with that. Then everybody has their own secret sauce of like solving this catch-all problem of, okay, how do we find a better catch-all email address? So Prospeo, the way that they do it is they just say, hey, every email that's marked verified on our platform is verified by BounceBand, and BounceBand takes care of the catch-all emails for us. Lead Magic also does catch-all verification for us as well too. And then another thing that's really interesting is the Smart Lead email finder. They can't say it publicly, so another thing that I'll just say as a rumor that we could just talk about.
It's a rumor, absolutely.
Yeah. Smart Lead is helping you verify the emails because it's sitting on top of the data of who has sent people emails to this email address and how many times has it not bounced, because obviously a bounce can happen for sender reputation issues. But as long as it hasn't bounced for it being invalid, they will give you that email address. So we will sometimes see like that we will claw back tons and tons and tons of emails using the Smart Lead email finder. So we literally just do it based off of cost and availability in our waterfall. So like Quick and Rich is first because it's the cheapest with the like a rate limit that I'm never going to mess with. Blitz API is next just because the rate limit gets messed with because I'm using it on other searches. Then I think ICPs is next. Then Prospeo, so we can get that bounce band stuff. Then Smart Lead, and then underlying in Smart Lead, every email is also validated through Lead Magic as well too. After that, if you can't find an email from Quick and Rich, what did I say? Quick and Rich, Blitz, ICPs, Prospeo, Smart Lead email finder, it's fine. Like the only way you're going to have to do a custom thing where you're going to have to buy like, and guys, the first time I met Alex, the amount of like things that he knows about bot accounts and botting these big platforms, he's like probably the #1 person in the world.
It's a rumor. It's a rumor.
Yeah, that's a rumor too. So anyway, you're going to have to go to a farm and get fake Gmail accounts and like literally email this person and see if there's a bounce. Like that's like the only thing you're going to be able to do to like be really sure to claw back anything after that. So that's how we're doing our email finding from there. And if they're a local business, if we find the owner of a local business and we know that Todd is running the plumbing company, but we did all of the permutations of Todd's name and we can't get an email address for Todd, emailing and saying, hey, Todd, and emailing info@plumbingcompany.com totally works. And we get lots of responses on things like that. So even like we have a customer emailing dentists right now. And you would think that dentists are bombarded by emails and they wouldn't respond this way. But we get info@bestdentistcompany.com. And then the person responding is like Maria DDS. And it's like, oh, wow. Okay. The dentist is actually responding to this. Great. So yeah. Anyway.
Cool. Yeah. So like on LinkedIn, I have to admit, like on LinkedIn, it's simpler because either they have a LinkedIn URL or they don't. If you have a valid LinkedIn URL, you're going to be able to reach out to them. So like, you're going to be able to send a connection request, and if they accept it, you're going to be able to send them a message. Now, the question is how likely are they to accept the connection request? And the single biggest factor we've seen impact that is how active are they on LinkedIn? Now, what I've seen as an issue on Aimfox, or not on Aimfox, but like based on data that we see aggregated inside of Aimfox, is that a lot of people are doing multi-channel. They're doing emailing and they're doing LinkedIn. They build one list. The list is really good. They use it on email. They use the same list on LinkedIn, which is fine. But then they see, on average, lower acceptance rates than I would expect them to see if they were just like LinkedIn first. So what happens is you, more often than not, like you end up reaching out to dormant accounts, like people who are just, they have a LinkedIn account, it fully fits the ICP, but they log in like once in never.
There.
Or like once a month or whatever. Now, there are a few filters inside of Aimfox that we've built specifically to kind of like find these inactive people and take them out of the audience. And like, for example, one of those filters is do they have a premium LinkedIn account, a premium license? If they're paying for a premium license, they're very likely to be active on the platform. Is their profile ID verified or not? If they're ID verified, again, more likely that they're active on the platform. How many, and a filter we have coming up, and I'm very excited for this one, we have coming up very soon, is how many connections and followers do they have on LinkedIn? And then you can do like a number, like 200 minimum. If they have over 200, you want them in. If they have less than 200, you want them out. So that is something, those are some things that can help you really double the connection acceptance rates. So like, that's like how you get in the 35 to 50% acceptance rate on LinkedIn, making sure that like, the people you reach out to are actually active on the platform. And one more thing, like that I just want to just go back to what you said is like how SmartLead is, kudos to them for like, using the data that they have inside of their platform, inside of their user base. Of course, it's a rumor, but in a very smart way, right? Like they see already what's bouncing, what's not bouncing, and they're leveraging that and using it for their verifier. And we do similar things. Like we do similar things on our end where we do these optimizations under the hood to make sure. We had an issue there because a lot of times we would like kick people out of the target audience, and then users would be like, hey, like why are not all 1,000 showing up? And then we had like we didn't have a good enough UI explaining the logic behind. We've improved that now. So yeah. By the way, so I see quite a bit of questions popping up. We will be going at the questions in 10, 15 minutes. I just want to go over some more stuff so then we don't lose kind of track. Yeah. Okay, cool. So tell me, what's a good reply rate? What's a good contacted lead to interested rate? What's your emailing sequencer of choice? How important is it? How important is the emailing sequencer you're using? Like, does it make a difference? Does it make a difference if you're using Instantly, SmartLead, Bison? So just give me your 2 cents on that. I would be very interested.
Yeah. So a reply rates, like when I'm talking to customers, it's like they want it to be as high as possible, which I completely get. But so we see right now, straight down the middle, 1% reply rate on average, not counting out of office emails. That's like fine. Like that's okay. Rumor has it that yours is at a 4% right now. So like that's great, right? And so
thanks to
the
you.
interested take rate that we're looking for is between 10 and 20%. If you actually start getting over, so 10 to 20% of those replies. So if you get, you email 1,000 people and then you're getting, 10 replies, 20. Well, if you're getting 10 replies, then we want 1 or 2 of those people to be interested from there is generally, like on average, what we're looking for. If you're actually getting too many positive responses, you're going over that 20% mark. Either your offer is really good, which is amazing and good for you, but there might be problems that you're going outside of ICP that you're not really targeting the right people that you need there. And so that's just what we're looking for. It's so crazy that like in marketing, there's this saying that I heard from somebody else. I can't take credit for this, that all conversion rates trend towards 0. And what we have seen is, I would get in a little bit of trouble with other agency owners that I would self-proclaim publicly 2 years ago that our positive response ratio across all of our customers, if you divided everything, was on average 1 positive response for every 350 people we reach out to. In the 2 years since I made that claim, it's gone up to 1 out of 600 for sure. Like I want to make sure that that's known, and that tracks with the, like, if you're getting a 1% reply rate and then 10 to 20%, that you're getting like 1 to like 500, 1 to 400 or something in there. And so that's just brass tacks, like just what we're seeing overall. Now, I do have a company that we're emailing people in the UK, and I have no clue why they're getting like a 20% overall reply rate and like 8% human. There's something about emailing people in Europe that like they don't get cold emails or something that I just want to share with people, that if you ever want to try a place that responds highly to email, UK for some reason responds a lot. But so then that's what we'll see there. And then I forget. Oh, so we are using Smart Lead. I am of the belief that the technology that underlies all of these platforms is all the same. And I know if Felipe on here from Email Bison is listening to this, he's going to be like, no. Like there's tons of different things. And there very might be truly different technology things. I haven't run the tests because we are so heavy on Smart Lead that I'll just cite Taylor Heron and Matthew Lucero. They both did studies. It was like, no matter, they were using Google inboxes. It didn't matter who they got the Google inboxes from. It didn't matter what domain they were using, .com, .co, .info, .biz, .org. And it didn't matter that they were using Instantly, Email Bison, or Smart Lead. Everything was in a range of like 0.1% on reply rates. Like nothing was really that much more insane. And so I always tell people that if you're going to pick something, go with something that you're comfortable with using and has the integrations and the APIs that you need. So I tell people all the time, Instantly is like an iPhone. You're going to get much more features out of the box. The UI is a little bit cleaner. Great. Smart Lead is like an Android. You can customize it to do whatever you want to do. If you're a beginner and you've never done anything before, just go with Instantly. And you're not really going to go wrong. I highly recommend you go with Zapmail on the Google inboxes, because the pricing is just like, nobody should be paying the $7, $8 for those Google inboxes, but that's our stack and what I would do about that.
Yep. So like, I agree with you literally 100%. Because I spoke to my co-founder, our CTO, and he's the one building the technology right behind Aimfox. And we've been, as you said, we've been doing this stuff for a while. And he is of opinion that like it's all the same. Like there isn't much difference. Yes, you can talk about like warm-up pools and pollution of warm-up pools, but his opinion is kind of that like even the whole warm-up pool thing is kind of like iffy, like what kind of actual value it gives. So, but like I actually do agree with you that like based on my experience, I've seen pretty much the same results. I haven't used Email Bison. I've used Instantly and Smart Lead, both. Haven't really seen a difference. And the things people should look for are integrations and the little features, like how the inbox is built, like how it helps you streamline your day-to-day stuff. That's the important stuff.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, any effort that you're going to be putting into the thought process around the underlying technology, or like this lead list is 10% better than this lead list, take all of that effort and put it into offers. And like just coming up with different things. Specifically, and I know we're talking about the technical aspect, but I'll finish this quickly, is like specifically you need to be figuring out what your customers already know is true about the market and how can you position yourself in a way that they don't know that it's true. And so what I mean by that is like the reason why cold email response rates are going down is because information, well, a little bit because of competition, and it's just so much easier to send emails. But it's also because the knowledge of, so right now we are trying to build a internal AI that can launch a campaign for a company that we've never spoken for before. It anonymizes things and doesn't say we're reaching out on behalf of the company, but it just says the value proposition. Because my plan is if we get a lead for a company I've never spoken to before, I want to go harass the CEO and just be like, hey, I already got you a lead. This is what it looks like, all this other things. And so we are training everything about the copywriting engine on this to look at what people know, like making assumptions on what people know is possible in the marketplace, and then positioning it in a way that they don't know that this thing is possible. So for example, one of the companies that Claude brought up today was like AI document scanning for hospitals. And then the copywriting it wrote was like, hey, you probably still have people manually doing documentation. We have an AI scanner and all this other stuff. And it's like, no. Nobody probably has people doing manual documentation. And also, two, they already know that an AI document scanner exists. So then the job of like to cut through the noise, and I know this has nothing with the tech stack, but you need to be thinking about how, number one, the best campaign you can run is how can I help you make more money in a way that you didn't know was possible? And then the next one is how can I help you save time in a way that you didn't know was possible? And then how can I help you save money in a way that you didn't know was possible? If I email somebody right now, actually we did this for Zapmail. We're going to have a case study coming out. If you email people who are not in this world, but they're using cold email tools, and you tell them that you can buy Google inboxes for $3 instead of $7, they're like, their brains blow up. They're like, what? Yeah. That's like insane. What are you talking about? And so this like writing offers to present somebody with something that they didn't know was possible, it like is the frame that I think you should be thinking through all of your offers on as much as possible. And then I'll kind of land the plane on that, but that's
100%. I mean, like, I know like a lot of times we need to be able to go outside of like what we think is normal for us. Cause like for you, for me, for us, like they're in this space, like, you know, a lot of these things are like, yeah, I mean, we know that like Google inboxes cost $3 a pop, right? Like, as you said, like a lot of people don't. And if you're reaching out to a wider segment, you need to be able to kind of assimilate with them and put yourself in their shoes and how they would interpret the offer, which is not always easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like on the, so like you talked briefly about about the emailing secrets or side, and like for LinkedIn outreach. Now, like LinkedIn outreach in that equation has a role. So it can either have like, if you're doing multi-channel, I see two main ways you can use LinkedIn alongside emailing, depending on your scale. So first way is doubling down on those interested leads. So you said like, you know, like 1% reply rate or 2% reply rate, 10 to 20% interested rate. There aren't that many interested leads. So you need to really double down on them. How you can do that is so we have native integrations. Aimfox has native integrations with Smartlead, Instantly, Email Bison, like all the major emailing sequencers. And basically, you get an interested reply on Smartlead. Within 30 seconds, that lead gets a connection request and a note on LinkedIn referencing that conversation. So that is something that like is for me like a no-brainer that teams should be doing. Now, the good thing there is that a lot of teams are limited with the scale of how many tools or how many LinkedIn profiles they have. This is not going to be scale intensive. The other scale intensive approach is when you're saying, if I don't get a reply to my email, which is going to be 98, 99% of the leads, send them a connection request and a note on LinkedIn. And this is where we've seen here you need loads of LinkedIn profiles, right? If you want to like contact 500, 1,000 leads per day. And that's like kind of like the nuts that like, you know, we want to crack. It's like we want to be recognized as the most scalable LinkedIn outreach tool on the market. We give you the option to rent customizable LinkedIn profiles that you can use to like kind of like follow through the sequence, right? And that's what I want Aimfox to set us apart. Because as you said, like, on emailing, like what goes in our favor is that like, these reply rates are going down, and LinkedIn is staying fairly consistent, and you can hit double-digit reply rates, right? Yeah. So that's like how everything kind of like comes together and sort of makes sense, right? So yeah, I mean, very.
And to just add on top of that, I completely agree that, and we are, because of, actually for the longest time, people would say, oh, do you do LinkedIn along with your services? And I was always like, no, it doesn't really scale. And then it's just another thing that we have to add in and all these things. The Aimfox MCP is so easy to work with that we're starting to just like roll it out with other people. But also the fact that you could buy the LinkedIn avatar accounts, because like the reply rate that you're going to get on LinkedIn is absolutely higher. But in absolute numbers, from one account, so our top customer is getting anywhere from 80 to 100 leads a day off of our email sending. There's no way in any world that from one account, you're going to get anywhere near that scale, just because you don't have enough shots on goal with that. And so by having the like accounts that you could rent through the platform, then it obviously brings up the scale that you're able to do there. But also, I really agree with you with kind of stacking the deck of reaching out to people who are engaged with you on LinkedIn. Because if you only have 2 to 3 sales reps at your company that you could possibly be sending LinkedIn messages from, I see too many people who are like, okay, so on day 1, we're going to email them. And on day 3, we're going to connect with them. On day 5, we're going to email them. And it's like, no. Like you're never going to be able to orchestrate the scale of email to go along with the LinkedIn. And so I'll even add on top too, that we even have like a priority list that we tell people to set up on, that it's like, and we literally schedule the campaigns so that this priority list is listened to better. So it's like the first campaign starts at 9 a.m. The second campaign starts at 12. The next campaign starts at 3, just to make sure that if you have whatever capacity you have on the LinkedIn account is being used up in priority instead of just everything. So the campaign that stays on forever, you're absolutely right, is the positive response one. As soon as there's a positive response from 9 to 7 p.m. at night, boom, just immediately connect with that person. Yep. The second tier of campaign that we do is website de-anonymization. So Snitcher, RB2B, Visual Visitor, whoever you're using, if they visit your website and they fit your ICP, boom, connection. That's on from like 11 to 7 p.m. so that we focus the priority on the other people, but these people should still be high priority as well too. And then anybody who's in your target market that you couldn't get a valid email for that has over 500 connections, then we hit those people in like a 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. window that it's like, okay, any extra capacity that we have for the day, start going after these people as well too. So definitely using the lead list and stacking the deck in your favor a little bit to take advantage of how much more visibility you're going to get on LinkedIn, and then dumping the people that you've reached out to on email that, now need to get sequenced into a different channel as well too. And the avatars will just help with that scale for sure. Yeah.
Especially like when you're working with like limited audiences, like when you only have like 20,000 leads in your audience for your client, you're going to run through them on email, and then you're going to churn the client, because you're going to have any leads to reach out to them. So that's like where it also makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So 40 minutes in, let's go into the Q&A section. We have quite a bit of questions here. And guys, just keep on asking questions. I hope we're going to get through all of them. And yeah, I mean, let's start with some positive vibes. And people just praising the stuff. And yeah, I see a lot of people are doing both, email, LinkedIn, everything, right? And some people are exploring LinkedIn, but doing only email so far.
Yeah. And I think the first question that I see is Prospio also for Europe. Now, this is always, anytime people are doing any kind of location-based questions about this. I mean, like I said, everything is basically based off of LinkedIn, and then how available is the information if you were to Google search for it. So, I mean, yes, I would still say Prospio works for Europe, but it depends on how many people in your target market are going to have LinkedIn profiles. Otherwise, we've literally run the tests that like you should then just take the company website and just say, who is the managing director of company website? You're going to get all these Google search results, and then just use AI to parse the Google search results to find those contacts. It's not so much of, is Prospio good for Europe? Does LinkedIn even have good information for Europe is more of the question.
All right. Very good. I see one more here, and I'll take this one. This is basically what we were just discussing. How do you scale LinkedIn outreach alongside your email outreach? That's where the avatars come in. Think of them as your Google inboxes. You customize them, you prepare them, and we give them to you warmed up, connected in your workspace, ready to go. And you can hit up our team if you have any questions.
When you say to start with LinkedIn for PE firms you work with, how are you scraping LinkedIn? Clay, Phantom Buster, something else? Between Clay and Blitz API, that'll be like the highest scale that you'd be able to get to for sure. If you're starting new, how much should you spend each month on list building activities? Like $500 per month between Blitz and Prospio. So Arjun, it's like
you want to, sorry, Eric, you want to just click show the comments so like people can know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I don't know. I can.
Oh, okay. Here, yeah. I can.
So then that one was just like between Clay and the Blitz API, you're going to be totally taken care of for that. If you're starting new, how much would you spend? It kind of depends. Like, are you new? And I would say start with Prospio. But if you don't need all of the filters and you're going to go over $500 in spend on Prospio, then use the Blitz API, right? When is Aimfox planning on releasing an MCP?
Come on, guys. We released the MCP server like 7 months ago or 8 months ago. So we're like one of the first to have it. We never announced it really. We did announce it like 2-3 months ago that we have it. But yeah, check out our MCP server. It works really great. I use it. So yeah, that's already there.
For Cloudflare restricted websites for local businesses, most local businesses do not have Cloudflare restricted websites, but otherwise we'll use Zenrose to get around that. Browser Use is a company that has like the best browser automation tool I've ever seen. They created a browser fetch endpoint that also beats these things and is free, so we use them for that as well too. If I want to target companies to pitch them SEO, AEO, GEO, where would you get your lead list from and which signals would you target? So we were one of the first companies, I would say, to be running GEO campaigns, mostly because I thought it was cool and I thought that we'd be able to generate leads for it. And I just know that we are like one of the first people running this playbook where we would literally just say like, hey, I asked ChatGPT bottom of funnel question. Like we would just AI generate, like if we're reaching out to a sunscreen company, like what would somebody be asking ChatGPT about sunscreen that they should be showing up in this search? And then we would say, hey, I asked ChatGPT this question and like this competitor was named and this competitor was named from these sources, but you didn't show up. Could we show you like how this works? And, get on a call and we'll tell you how you can fix it or something like that. Now, I mean, we were doing that 2 years ago. And I would say it is way harder to get a response now because I think so many people are using that exact same language. I would still use something like that to show them the audit, but you need to do something cooler with your offer and with your audit that's going past what other people are receiving. I would just say like that message that I just sent is table stakes at this point. And then as far as like which signals would you use and who would you target? I mean, you want to find companies that are investing in their marketing that really care about these things. So like, if they're running Meta ads, or they're running Google ads, or their employee headcount growth has increased by 5% in the last 12 months, like that's the targeting I would say to do that.
Cool. So thoughts on ESP delivery for Microsoft and Microsoft to Microsoft currently? Oh man,
so we've actually just recently moved all of our sending infrastructure off of like Azure Microsoft inboxes to Google inboxes because we're just seeing Google inboxes is just so much better. So I'm actually seeing you're sending better from a Google inbox to a Microsoft inbox currently from what I'm seeing right now. But the thing is that the only thing that I've seen make a difference for Microsoft deliverability is the age of the domain. And so ask ChatGPT how you could buy aged domains and expired domains and kind of just like pick your favorite person to do that. But we always start everybody off with sending to Google inboxes first and letting their domains age for like 2 months before we try Outlook. I think domain age is the most important thing.
So here's a general one. Will there be a replay too? Yes, there will be a replay on YouTube. And also like if you guys in the audience listening to this live are not using Aimfox, we'll share now a link that'll get you a little bit of a discount for 3 months. So you can get 30% off for 3 months on both the agency plan and the outreach plan. So yeah, if you want to give Aimfox a try, if you're not using Aimfox, look for the link in the chat here, and you can just click on that. Back to the questions. How many minimum actors should someone start with Aimfox? I started with one only, as Eric said, but not enough shots on goal. How many should one start with? So I'll take this one, Eric. So basically, like, I would say one is a low number, just because you're not going to have enough shots on goal to test quickly enough and iterate quickly enough to figure out what works. So I would say, like, start with like 2-3 accounts from your teammates, from your friends, to test your hypothesis, test your offer, see the list, how it's performing. When you find a formula that you're happy with, a ratio that you're happy with, then comes the scaling part. So that's where the profiles that you rent from us, that's where they play a role. If you're okay testing with avatars, it's going to cost you more because you're going to see a slower ROI because of the testing phase. But like, if you can muster enough of your own accounts, 2, 3, 4 profiles, use those for the testing phase and for setting like the benchmarks you want to see, and then use the rental profiles to scale basically the quantity. Yeah. Okay, here's another one. Eric, how do you manage retargeting after first outreach? Do you store leads in HubSpot, Supabase? Do you track them when they last contacted? Keep the list clean.
Yes. So we keep track of when they were last contacted in Supabase, and we try as much as possible to not reuse a lead for a quarter. So if we emailed them, we don't want to email them for another 3 months. We have tested going smaller to like re-emailing the same people every 2 months instead. We've really cut down the length of our sequences tremendously. Like, we're only sending 2 emails in most of our sequences, maybe at worst 3. And so I don't even think that there's a problem that people remember your email and then they're like, oh, no, like, I'm not going to respond to this person. They already emailed me. I ask people all the time, whenever they say like, oh, it won't cold emailing hurt your brand? I always ask them, okay, like, what's a cold email that you received an hour ago? Can you name the company that cold emailed you? And nobody's ever had an answer for me. And so the only way you can hurt your brand with cold email, in my opinion, is like sending an email that is so atrociously wrong, just like completely wrong. That's one way, but you have to be really, really, really wrong for somebody to remember. And then the other thing is, if they ask to unsubscribe and you keep emailing them, like, there's an OpenClaw newsletter, and I kind of want to know how they're sending their emails, because I have unsubscribed from this OpenClaw newsletter 13 times, and they still somehow are sending me emails, and I don't understand how to do that, how they're doing that, but good on them, I suppose. So I'm actually not too concerned about recycling the leads to make sure that we're not bothering them too many times. We actually need to just put enough distance in between the messages, because if you sent them an email and they're not interested at this point, the way that they'll become interested the next time you email them is because something in their business has changed that now they can take this on, right? So like, we just finished a gigantic change from Azure inboxes to Google inbox to Gmail inboxes because the reply rate was so much better. I just went through like a huge reply rate crisis for the company that I needed to shift everything over to. I wasn't talking to YouTube experts. I wasn't talking to, anybody who was going to help us do any other channels or anything. But now that our global reply rate across everybody right now is 2% on average across all like 300 to 450,000 emails that we're sending per day, I can think about other things, right? So just putting time in between these things is the most important part, so that things change in their business, not because I think you're bothering them or that they remember you by any means.
Yeah. Here's
I think
another
the
one.
only thing that's changed, like that, the only thing that you have control over for Mimecast, Proofpoint, and all these other things is just the age of the domain. A little hack that, like, don't tell people this is .eu domains. If you buy an expired .eu domain, because of the fact that GDPR does not allow them to look up how old the domain is and who owns the domain and how many times the transfer has happened, we have seen that if we can buy .eu domains that are getting that the customer is happy with, those work the best. Like, if you buy something 10 years old, like, they'll never be able to know. They know that the domain is 10 years old, but they don't know that it was transferred. They don't know who owns it. They don't know anything about it. So, or still, if you were to buy a .com domain that's 10 years old, you're still going to have a better shot. Normally, though, the customers that we're working with that want to target these enterprises don't love using the aged domains. I would implore everybody hearing this that like nobody cares about what domain you're sending from. If you need to get through Modcast and Proofpoint, they've got to be an expired like aged domain, and try the .eu thing.
Yeah. I mean, on that point, like I remember even using pre-warned mailboxes that have like random like domain names, and I was getting like pretty much the same reply rates, close to what I would get with like very on-brand domains.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. By the way, I mean, I already see that we're not going to be able to probably cover all the questions. So we'll just try and get as many as we can over the next 10 minutes, and then I'm going to have to say sorry to some of you.
Well, I could try to rapid fire some of these as well too.
Okay, go for
Rapid
it.
API versus Appify, we use them for different things. There's some things on Rapid API, like on Rapid API, there's a Google Map scraper that's like the cheapest Google Map scraper I've ever seen in my life. But on Appify, it's not over there. So like I just see it as a marketplace, and you just got to use different things. Are you placing in Microsoft inboxes? I mean, not as. Oh, have you ever reached out to founders and CEOs? Oh, it's okay. So
which one do you want to do first?
It's fine for the B2C offer thing. It mostly cold email requires a higher LTV, and like it's only legal to reach out to business email addresses. So like we have been successful reaching out to people who want like. We would offer them free medical scans because they lived in the Austin, Texas area. And we're like, hey, you're a CEO. Do you want a medical scan? And then we would like sell them the medical scan. So it kind of just depends on what you're selling there. Are you placing in Microsoft inboxes? I would say we are not immune to this problem. Like most of our replies still happen from Google inboxes, and we are placing better in them when the domain is aged. Yep. Okay. Same thing. Isn't prospect credit pricing insane though? So I agree. So when you say double what Lead Magic is, the other thing you have to keep in mind is actually that like Lead Magic is priced insanely and they're super cheap. And so we do use Prospeo mainly because 1 credit on Prospeo gets you like 25 results in the search. So when we're using the filters, it's very cost effective to take advantage of. That's why I'm saying use the Blitz API and Prospeo. It's if there's a filter that you need in Prospeo, it's great to get it from there. And then use the company search where 1 credit will get you 25 companies. Then you can scrape all the rest of them. Then use Blitz API to find the contacts and Lead Magic to find the emails in there. I totally agree with you, but like the multiplier effect when you use it as a company database is really great. What are the benefits of using Hypertide versus Zapmail? So Hypertide just recently added Google inboxes that we are split as a provider. We are split between Hypertide and Zapmail, but we're moving everything to Google inboxes. Zapmail's got a great API. It's like mainly, you can't go wrong with any provider as long as they give you Google inboxes that you have access to the admin console on. You're not going to go wrong. So like, yes, I love Hypertide and I love Zapmail. We use them both. We're moving off of Outlook, not because Hypertide is bad, but I think Outlook is bad and Google is just better. What's your deliverability?
Look for good support. Look for good API.
That's it.
Platform. Yes. And like all the like if you're using like cheap inboxes, Hypertide, Zapmail, whatever.
Yes, as long as they let you sign into the admin console, you're fine. What's your deliverability protocol? So we focus just on the reply rate per domain. So it's like as long as it's above 1% or there's no outliers. So even if it's normal for a customer to be getting a 0.7% reply rate, but one of the domains is getting a 0.2% reply rate, we kill that. We use the Smart Lead API to figure all that out. I was unable to build. Nope, that's fine. Aimfox had a pass. We talked about N8N and automate replies. Do you use AI to reply? I'm currently working on trying to get a Hermes agent to help handle this. I think it's like a skill that you want to build, not necessarily like a if-then statement of replies. Total email.
I lost you. Which question are you at?
Oh, sorry. Aimfox had a past webinar that was super helpful. We talked about N8N workflows that help automate replies on LinkedIn. Yeah. So that. Oh, yeah. Go for it. Yeah.
So our next webinar next week. So I'm really proud of this. So it's kind of my little baby. I've built an AI bot that handles all of our replies. And I've built it through Claude and through the webhooks from Aimfox and the API. And it works. I'm really, really happy how it works. So next week, in 7 days from now, I'll be doing a webinar with Alex, our head of education, where we'll be showing you exactly what I built. And I hope I'll be able to give you like a blueprint on how to replicate the exact build. And I'll go into it really, really deep. So just come back next week for that, Webby.
So then total emails per Google inbox, we put 3 inboxes on the domain. 27 emails per inbox is fine. We send 30 right now. So sure. Yeah, I don't know. 27 is a funny number. So for list sourcing, Prospeo versus Clay, it's like, what filters do you need? What's the cost of it? Like when you say which is better, you have to take into consideration, what filters do you need? Are they accurate? What's the cost to get those filters versus you just doing it with AI? Are you rotating out your inboxes like a batch for the first 2 weeks and then another batch for the next 2 weeks? I don't know how any of my friends in the agency world keep that like financially viable. I think that's a very interesting thing. So I'm not rotating in and out every two. In my opinion, when an inbox is dead, it's dead. Like there's nothing that you can do. Yeah, I just don't think that they're going to come back. So we're not rotating them out. There's inboxes that we've used. We have one customer. We've been using the same Google inboxes to send 100,000 emails a day for. We've been using the same Google inboxes for quite literally a year, and I've never rotated any of them out. That maybe is a whole other thing about not force us, as they hired us specifically for high volume testing. So at any given time, we have 200 active campaigns with completely different segmentation, different copywriting. And so I think variance has a lot to do with that. But is out of office going high for you? Oh, so then what we do is like, I'm not so sorry to just finish this up. We keep like a pool of inboxes that we're actively using. And then I have what we call insurance inboxes that then like, then we replace the reply rates that are low with the insurance inboxes. But sometimes those insurance inboxes, I can get those inboxes to warm up for like 12 weeks before we use it in a campaign. So I'm not rotating and like forcing a 2-week runoff. But anyway, is out of office going crazy for you? Yes, in America, the 4th of July is coming up. And that's like, in America, there's holidays. And then there's like real holidays. And like the 4th of July is like a real holiday that people will take off and celebrate for. Have you used Instantly for cold email? I ran Instantly's outbound program for 3 years. Like, yes, I've used it. And how are they? We talked about this. They're all like generally the same. You just have to pick your like integration and support favorite. Have you tried 1 inbox per domain? It doesn't matter. I've tried it. I know for a fact that 1 inbox per domain is too careful and that 10 inboxes is wrong. Somewhere in the mix is correct. And Zapmail only lets you put 5 inboxes on a domain. So maybe the max is 5. They probably know better than us. Which warm-up tool to use? I think they're all the same. It doesn't really matter. Just use.
Dude, that was wow. Like you've cleared out like I think like 20 questions.
I
like
have to do it for the people. I do it.
You're like, let's go, man. That was intense. Like you got me sweating here. You know, I'm hot all of a sudden. You know, insane, man. But listen, like honestly, like thank you so much, man, for dropping all of this knowledge and talking about everything here. You know, because like everybody's watching people on YouTube, on X, and they're like all like throwing out numbers, like getting 15% reply rates, getting this, getting that. And I think that does a lot more harm than good because it sets completely wrong expectations, right? And then people go into outbound and they're like, oh, I'm crap at it. I'm only getting a 2% reply rate. You're not. Like, you know, everybody else is lying on social media, and this is the reality.
I just really quick. I used to, when I was starting my agency, anybody that showed a screenshot like that, I would literally like be like, I will pay you whatever you want to show me that campaign. I want to know what was the list and what was the copywriting that you used. And I stopped paying people because whenever you see those crazy reply rates, most often it's like an offer that's such a no-brainer that I actually think that they're going to have a time like converting people because they're offering something that like there's no call tied to it. It's just very odd. They're re-engaging their old closed, lost, or like dormant leads, or they're attending an event and they're just like, hey, we're going to be at the event. Do you want to go get coffee? And it's like, okay, great.
Yeah, you're going to get a 15% reply rate.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And so
not seeing the same. Like,
even the campaign that I said we're getting a 20% overall reply rate for and an 8% human reply, I just think that like we're targeting financial advisors in the UK, and I just think that they answer their emails a lot. Like there's nothing special about the campaign, and I don't think we have control over that. But anyway, yeah. Cool. Some of these other questions we answered, so sorry. Upload this transcript to your favorite AI agent, and we probably answered it in there. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody, like we still have a whole lot of people here, and we're 1 hour in. Thank you so much. I mean, like everybody, like you know, I see this provided us a lot of value. A lot of knowledge was dropped here. Eric, thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing the knowledge. I'm very excited to be working with you closely and to kind of like expand our outreach and our outbound, and like with emailing and LinkedIn and everything. And I think, yeah, I mean, on behalf of the audience, thank you very much. I see already a lot of thanks coming in. And yes, everybody, we will be sharing a recording. There will be an email with this. That email will include a discount code that you can use when signing up for Aimfox if you're not already signed up. And if you have any questions, you can always ping us and find us. And yeah, I mean, with that, I think we can wrap it up.
Yeah, very nice. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everybody.